Be part of the discussion.
Yes, sir.
And then speaking of speaking, I think most of us are aware we were accused of breaking the law a couple of weeks ago, and so had some interactions with constituents about having to give their address while speaking. Obviously, it was well within the law, the procedure that we have, and I've talked extensively with Randy about that. But one of the suggestions was brought up, the consideration of giving only their zip code when speaking. Who gave that consideration? You? No, he didn't give it a constituent. Oh, because in the public. Okay. And my response to them is, we can consider anything. I will say, in thinking through that myself, obviously, some cases the address, in my opinion, is a must, especially in land use cases. But I just wanted to.
Well, I just think it's important to point out that. Are you talking about land use cases, or after?
Just I think
the end of the meeting conversations, right?
When they're in public comment.
The public comments,
Right.
which is not testimony. Nobody has to swear to anything. For that matter, nobody has to even tell the truth. They can just get up there and say whatever they want at this point.
there may be some issues about providing false information to the public citizens or something.
Right. But, when we've had people we know give a bogus address, police department address, whatever they want to give. But I mean, I could care less. I told you I could care less about the address. There may be a good reason to do it. I mean, we want to know if they're really constituents or not, and that sort of stuff. But it's not a big deal to me.
I do. I don't see why we have a problem with the way it's been for how many years?
At least 1999, it's been in some type of.
And I get it. But if it'll be that, then before long, then we won't not have it. I just say everybody it is. That's my opinion.
And we have a written process for what's going to happen if they don't. That's the other part. We need one if we don't.
I'm not sure if anything's written down as far as the process that you don't give it, they'd be violating the rules and procedures, and because you're not following the rules and procedures, technically you shouldn't be allowed to speak, and then if you don't sit down, so at that point it makes a remove because you're not following our rules and procedures. There's either written into the rules and procedures as the process. There's not, but I would assume if you're not following the rules, you're not getting the ability to speak. And I guess to your point, and depending on how you all want to do it, there could be a difference between the general public comment section and then when we're talking about public hearings for land use cases and ordinances and stuff. That could be a difference that could be made. Only it's up to your discretion. Of course, I found there's legitimate purposes of why you require this. One being able to determine that individual that is speaking, that your decision is actually affecting them and stuff, whether or not they're actually residents of the county, residents of cities. We have residents that come to speak on matters, and maybe it is more of a municipality issue than
and I think that's an important point that we're all thinking right now, one organization, one group that talks about one subject every time. But this could change, and I'm going to bring that up in just a minute. There could be another group that is bringing a point that has nothing to do with Polk County. So yeah, I'm fine with keeping it. I just feel like I'm reading.
My thing is, questions that I've asked Randy was, have we ever had any case where a person has given their address and they have been retaliated or accused of something, and he said,
since I've been here for 20 years, I haven't heard any of that occurring.
Exactly. And number two is, this was brought up by one person. So it's not like we're having a massive group of people saying, we need this kind of change. It was brought up last meeting by one person, and then all of a sudden, now we want to change it. I'm for the fact that we're going to keep it the same. If it's not broken, let's just leave it like that. And I agree, Rick. I think if we change it, then who's to say what's going to come down the next thing that we need to change?
Can we put it in writing? I mean, just off the process. Yeah.
We do have the requirement of address, but what he said, I think Commissioner Brown's sort of saying, hey, he wants something saying that if you don't give this, if you don't follow the rules, here are the
Here's the
steps.
steps.
And I could amend the procedures. I actually could do that and place it under my consent agenda, probably by Tuesday. Have those procedures in place.
Get busy.
But I will. And so I will work on that, and it will just have those steps. The first, if you refuse to follow the rules, wherever they may be, you'll get warning from the chair. If you don't follow through, then at that point, the chair will ask the individual to sit down. If you don't sit down, at that point, you'll be asked to leave the chambers. And if you don't, then, so those, basically those three steps.
This person has given the address before.
Right.
So
And on that
it's not,
specific
yeah, so
individual.
it's never an original issue with her.
Right. And I think there is going to be probably individuals who now want to challenge it. Sure. And I think it's good that we're talking about it. They're now on notice that these other steps are to be taken. I would put those in the rules. I would put them in the rules that they cover everything else but these other steps. That works for
That'll help.
for all the commissioners. And I'll put it under consent unless you all tell me differently.
There's something not to consider, but from just factual-wise, so if I'm coming forward as a consultant, right, I give my address of the company that I work for, and I give my personal address. Technically, if somebody comes up that's speaking about whatever, and they want to give the address for the public library because that's where they got their information from, why wouldn't they be able to give that as an address as well? Just from, so that's not an address they're associated with. In other words, I'm not, as an individual or a representative, like there's a number of different addresses you could provide. So my point.
We do allow the consultants, they get their, because that's what they're speaking as the business really.
Right.
I can imagine an individual that would give their,
Well, no, well,
maybe give their address as a library or
Well, so from a organization, if you have a nonprofit that you're working for, if you're speaking on behalf of animal welfare, right, and you work for the Bully Project, there wouldn't be a reason you couldn't provide the address for the Bully Project instead of your home address.
And yeah, I don't think I would disagree with that.
Right,
If you have that corporation, you're using that, put some language in.
Representation was what I'm talking about. If you're representing a certain topic, and that topic has an organization that's tied to, as we're talking about procedural-wise, I don't want to get tripped up on details. If somebody's like, well, I give my personal address, I'm giving it for this. As long as they're talking on behalf or in association with that organization, it should be extended just like it is as me as a consultant. They would be able to give that address.
And I can put something in, I think, either their address or that organization's address to which they're associated.
Correct, that's what
If they have an organization.
No, right, if they're working with that organization, correct.
They don't have an organization.
Right, not just out of the thin air, correct, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, well, I mean, so let's play this out, because I think we'll be challenged on it. Obviously, right now, the topic is animal control, so are we going to say that they, one way or another, are all representing, the Bully Project, or are they gonna give the address of animal control and say that that's, I mean, I think it starts to get very complicated at that point. I understand a business.
Right, but they're representing, I think it comes down to representing, if it's a organization that they're speaking on behalf of or with, then that's what if they come, if Humane Society comes in and wants to talk about their location, they're obviously gonna give their address. So I'm just, from seeing where this could go on, talking about addresses and what a few have said on, how other attorneys are able just to give their address and not their home address, that's why I bring this up. And that they came up in that comparison of,
And ultimately, we're not gonna police this.
we're not, I just don't want to get it where it's a big discussion.
But I mean, I think the change would be their personal address or address of the association in which they are associated with.
We can't police this.
No, we have much more important things to do.
But we sure don't want them to say they're not gonna give it when it's something that we've been doing and we haven't had any issues with it. We've had issues with it, okay, but we haven't had anything to do with it, so.
So I will make those tweaks and put them on the consent agenda meeting, and it'll be there by Monday or so. Have questions.
All right, anything else? Rick? Bill?
Well, I guess staying on the same subject to a degree, we have issues with groups that want to come in and talk at us that for some reason don't want to come and meet with us beforehand. I mean, we've had this, we've got one group now, we've had other groups in the past. I don't know why they don't want to seek a resolution to it. They just want to, put on a show, whatever you want to call it. We're starting to get emails, or at least I am, from other groups that I foresee wanting to do the same thing. And Randy and I have talked about it. A lot of cities and counties, we don't want to, prohibit them from speaking, but we can certainly limit their time. We currently limit them to 3 minutes each. But I think we need to put a cap on the whole thing. When Randy looked into it, I think 45 minutes is a common.
I've seen 45 minutes being used as
Common time frame. So, and I just want to bring that up to you guys, see what you think about it. Everybody would still get 3 minutes. But at the end of 45 minutes, that's it. We're done for the day. They still fill out the piece of paper to speak. And then if we've got 30 of those and we get through 14 of them, the next 16 are up first at the next meeting, if they want to show up. And of course, any of those people who don't get the opportunity to speak are welcome to submit written comments if they want to. But, I just see this not exploding, but like I said, we've had, I think of another group, Mosaic permitting people who will come in and take up hours of your time if you let them. And I think there should be limits on the amount of time. Again, they can come in and meet with us and probably get a resolution. The general comments. So we put a cap, and then my suggestion would be when the first speaker starts, the 45-minute clock begins, and when it runs out, it runs out, and you can come back next week. Any thoughts?
So it would be 45 minutes total, not about topic.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the public comment period would be 45 minutes?
Exactly.
Okay. So if it's
Broken up in 3-minute increments.
Right, it doesn't matter if it's 60 different topics, but there's only 15 speaking slots.
Right.
Rather just defer to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I probably would do it 15 slots, and that you all may have communications with them that, I don't want to get into that, where, well, y'all just took up 10 minutes of our time.
Right.
So my thought
I
would
would
be like,
just not to do that.
Right, 15 slots on the agenda for public comment.
at the maximum, the public comment side of it and stuff. I mean, that's something you all can decide. I don't think we've had,
now, but
I don't think we've had
I'm
more than,
fine with that, but somebody's gonna have to time it.
well, that's, if you do 15 slots and not time, because that's 45 minutes.
Yeah,
That's why,
actual conversation.
that's
Okay,
why I
so
was
we'll do it by numbers then.
You're right, that 15 can speak each time. Right now, I don't think we've had 15.
No, and it's not been a problem. Don't get me wrong, it's not been a problem. But when these other groups start stacking on top,
You start getting.
we're going to be here just like some of those Mosaic but actually those were hearings, weren't they?
Probably.
Well,
That's different.
yeah.
And those you won't limit.
No, you can't limit.
Yeah, we won't limit the planning side or the proposition side, but the one that you hear at the very beginning that we never really have you speak at, those should not happen. But the public comment portion, y'all can have some flexibility on that. As long as you're not dealing with, as long as you don't attack content of what they're saying, it's neutral.
Right.
And that's the plan here.
And I'm thinking about your character.
And one thing about the same subject we were talking on, the Mosaic deal, there was all them people there that had nothing to do with it, from different.
All over the state.
They're taking up 3 minutes and saying, didn't want to give out addresses.
Yeah, that's true.
One lived on both.
Are you gonna include that in your writing also?
If that's the desire of the board, I can add that into the
I think
rules
so.
that public comment sections be limited to 15 individuals. And then it's a rotation. If some chance they got opportunity to come back the next meeting, if we don't get to them, and it'll be the first one. It's basically first come, first served type of deal.
And would that go into this resolution?
That's my understanding. Just go ahead and put that into the resolution.
Mike, I'm gonna go before you because mine has to do with this, if that's okay.
Also, just one question on that, as far as, do we have the ability right now where they can sign up ahead of time, or can they only sign up in person? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I know we talked about it all the time.
taking her.
Right now, it's just just that they sign up when they get there.
Right.
I've seen it where you can go online and sign up. I think we would have to work with communications and get that put in place and figure out.
Seems like an added expense. I mean, if they're gonna talk, they're gonna show up.
Well, but what I'm saying is that if we're gonna put the 15 slots as a thing, it would just in future, it again may not be an issue for years.
Right.
Or it may be an issue in 2 months from now, but it would just go ahead and give an avenue where they're not saying that they need to take off of work and come up and sign up and then they're getting number 16 and they don't get a spot and they took off work. It's more transparent on slots that would be available.
I can see people signing up.
And not showing.
Not showing.
I think that's the issue. That's one problem. It means you get a bunch of people that just submit online, don't even show up, and then
I don't agree with the online for that reason, but I think everybody that's gonna speak should sign up for it.
right. That's right now.
And for us to eliminate anybody else wishing to speak, because then we're inviting people to come in and speak that have not signed up, and I think signing up for them is important.
And that's the plan, is that
Okay.
they have to sign up, and I've seen that. And basically what I've
We've
seen.
gotten better with it.
What I've basically seen, because I've watched some board meetings over the last couple of days, there's that the chair just looks, there's an individual there that basically says, we have individuals signed up, or they say, we don't have individuals signed
Right.
up. And they move forward. On the land use cases, the more important part is opening up the public hearing, asking the communication director, do we have anyone signed up? She indicates no, I close the public hearing, move forward,
Right.
and everything. So yeah, I think we already have the rule in place about signing up
So,
and requirement, but
so for the general hearing,
public.
general hearing, what
Hearing or just comment time?
the comment time.
Okay.
The comment time. So once I go through the papers that have been signed up, I close the public hearing.
Right.
I'm not going to say anybody else wishing to speak. We close it because we're going with the signed in.
Right.
And you mentioned that anyway beforehand,
Yes,
so.
and I'll emphasize that.
Yes.
Maybe when we open up public comment, I'll just mention that these people plan on speaking in public comment. If you have to sign the paper and give it to the commission staff.
And then, but you always have somebody back there anyway, getting my papers and things like that, so.
Madam Chair, let me ask Randy a clarification. Sometimes we have folks who call in several days in advance of the board meeting and ask if their name be put on the agenda. Is that one of the 15?
Days, yes, sir.
I would think that would be, if they called in and said, please put me on the agenda. It doesn't happen very often, maybe once or twice a month.
It'll happen every time now.
Those are the first ones we'll call up.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they're
That's right.
called in and
Yes, ma'am.
do the agenda.
Because they'll actually, their
Then
names
we'll
will
go to
be
the
published
paper
on the agenda.
Yeah, but if we're allowing them to call in and we're gonna say they're gonna get preferential order, then if there's 15 other people that show up and sign in first, they should technically not be able to speak because they're gonna be 16 and 17.
Yeah, I think they need to show up.
I do too.
Well, no, yeah, show up.
But you can't call in and be considered first.
So we want to move away from letting people just being placed on the agenda, and instead, you just show up, fill out the forms. That's what I'm hearing now.
Yeah.
So it's either that or allow online sign up and call-ins, because otherwise it's a double
Well, we
standard.
can work it this way first and see if that works,
Right.
and then if not, we can always tweak the rules at that point. So at this point, no one's gonna be placed on the actual name on the agenda under
Until
public
the
comment.
day that
It'll just be you turn in a form too, and if someone calls in and wants to speak to you all, they'll be directed to show up the day of the hearing, and you can place a speaker form on. Or otherwise, set up a meeting to talk to you all individually.
and actually resolve it.
So that's your purpose a lot of times.
And on the same subject, just for total clarification for people watching this and listening to this, we have hearings where you stand up, you raise your right hand, you're telling the truth, the whole truth, blah, blah. That's in regards to public hearings that are land use cases or whatever.
Yes, the stuff that's under section N and section O would be those.
In and out. What we're talking about is public comment, which is letter what?
P.
Which is just basically coming in and talking. And like we've talked about, any subject, whatever you want to talk about, has nothing to do with our agenda, has nothing to do with anything. I suppose you can stand up and raise your right hand, you're not required to. And then back to the public hearings, when the the chairman listens to the staff, or the staff report is given, and then you open public hearings up. Is the applicant part of the public hearing, or is the applicant not part of the public hearing?
Applicant's part of the public hearing.
So technically you should say, okay, we've heard from the staff, we're gonna open the public hearing, and now, does the applicant want to lead off?
Yeah, we could technically, yes, we could do that. That's part of it. Actually, I would argue the staff is part of the public hearing. I mean, that's all part of it.
I don't know.
So I call it public hearing, that's all the public hearing, and you got public comments. As I see, so the public hearing is that whole portion of the actual land use case, and then you got the public comments of the public hearing, is how I always see it.
So what would be the correct terminology?
So I think at this point it would be, I'm going to open up the public hearing, we will start with staff's report.
I like that.
And then at that point, we'll get the applicant, and then after staff gets done, does the applicant have anything to provide us? And then now we will hear public comments. And
then we'll come with.
yes,
Because if you remember, we went through a time where the applicants weren't even showing up. You know, I mean, that always blew me away.
right, and an expedited hearing, we don't have one. That's one of the reasons why we did it.
Right, yeah.
So I think non-expedited hearings, you do have applicants not show up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think that.
Deny one and they'll show up.
I think that eliminated that issue because, these routine, what I refer to more routine interstate items.
Okay.
And so now they have under expedited, and they're basically informed that you don't have to speak and stuff. And those are the ones I think would have been the ones that would have shown up for the replacement routine.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up and kind of formalize how we do it.
So I think that is the public way. We are now going to have the public hearing for whatever it may be. We will start with staff with the presentation, and then when we get done, because the applicant should be first. And
Yeah.
then if it's a de novo, then it's opposition,
Right.
and then public comment section. And I can write something.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I want to go back to the 15 people that will speak. I'm sure whoever gets the paper will write the number that correlates with the person, right? Because somebody would say, well, I was here before such and such a
We'll put
person.
the time.
Yeah.
We'll put the time on the sheet of paper saying
Yeah.
when they
we
signed
can add
up
like a little
a little.
form just to fill out.
Yeah.
Our little area.
As soon as they hand it to us, we'll put their number and then we'll put the time that they handed it to us, and that way there can be no concern that
they're being.
And then, Madam Chair, going back, there was also some conversation that was brought up in questioning about video participation, so participating virtually. I don't have any history of that, but I don't know if it's ever been considered that they can participate electronically in hearings. I guess some counties allow participation in that manner. Has it ever been considered?
I don't like that. I mean, again, I go back to, people need to come to us and tell us what they want, you know?
I think in COVID we held a pretty strong line.
Yeah, we had some money.
Yeah, we didn't do anything for during COVID.
Not virtual and stuff, we always kept, we didn't use them and stuff. And it's kind of been the policy of the board to just stick with that.
Anything else?
Well, I didn't go yet officially. You were gonna go before me.